How do you deal with rejection in dating? Today I'm going to share my thoughts on advice not from another dating coach, but from a formerly awkward MacBook repairman. On Rossmann's YouTube channel, he occasionally gives some great self-improvement tips. I really enjoy watching his rants because he's somebody that I see as honest, rational, and ethical.
Okay, so the thing that you said is what you said about dating yesterday cut deep. I've never been on a date, and I don't use those bullshit apps. I'm quite introverted, and I'm probably equally afraid of a woman saying yes as saying no. Point taken. One of the things about a lot of these apps is that a lot of people like the fact that they're avoiding rejection. In person, when a woman rejects you, she may not just say no. She may laugh in your face and go, she may go.
Definitely happens at bars.
She may do all these things that make you feel like the smallest, most insignificant piece of crap that makes you want to jump off a bridge. So one of the things people love about dating apps is you don't experience rejection. When somebody else left swipes you, you don't see it. You don't feel it. So it's out of sight, out of mind, right? Mm-hmm. Here's the problem with it. You don't experience rejection. That's the good thing, but also you don't experience rejection. You need to experience rejection to socially advance. You need to experience rejection to grow as a person.
It's so true. I see a lot of guys just use online dating because they never want to have to face any sorts of rejection in the real world. But that rejection is so valuable to actually making you a confident, resilient person, because you need to be able to see somebody not be interested in you, to disagree with you, or to actually kind of rebuff your advances so that you can handle that when it inevitably happens in the future. And it will happen. Yeah, maybe you'll avoid some of the initial approach rejection, but you're going to have those awkward moments on dates or with other people at work or in business. And you trying to sidestep that is really delaying your own progress from just being able to endure those experiences.
You know, the first time you get rejected, it's like, it's scary. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to a person. And then the second time, it's like, oh, that feels like shit. And then like by the fifth time or 10th time you get rejected, it's like, you don't really care anymore. And you're actually able to engage with people without this incredible social awkwardness that so many people have right now. I'm still a weird dude, but I'm not nearly as socially awkward now as I was the first time I walked up to somebody and I got rejected. And I also don't feel the same way about that happening to me now. And it allows me to have a conversation that flows better. It allows me to approach people a different way. It allows me to deal with my customers a different way, because the same fear of rejection that I had when I would deal with that is the exact same fear that I would have when somebody walked into my store and I'm like, oh shit, how do I socialize with these people? I don't want to do that. It's the same general idea.
Humans are made to adapt and evolve. I've been coaching for 14 years, and every single guy I've seen put himself out there and get used to these experiences grows and starts to become desensitized to rejection. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, you just happen to be a really normal social guy. Like, it's different for me. It's not different. I was probably way worse than a whole lot of you. You have to understand that from 4 years old to my late teens, I spent almost all of my time inside on computers and playing video games. So when you see me walking up to strangers or talking to people at an event, it's not because I have something different than you do. I got to where I am today because I relentlessly put myself out there in scary social situations. And in fact, I want to lean on that point that he said is not only do you have to get used to the rejection, but then there's another layer of getting used to kind of dropping your mask and your guard and actually being present and honest with people. So you work through that first level of anxiety about rejection. And then as you're in those conversations, you're still probably going to be in your head about what they're thinking of you. And you do that a few more times and you start to let go of that and you can actually express yourself in the best way possible, which coincidentally makes you way more charismatic and dramatically improves your results.
So the thing is, a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to use a dating app so that I can avoid rejection. Point taken. The thing is, you need rejection. You need to feel what that feels like in order to kind of sharpen the knife of your social skills and get better and do better next time. And the thing is, what a lot of people are trying to do is they're trying to avoid paying the cost of how awkward and how weird it feels when you get rejected for the first time or the second time or the third time. And the thing is, there's no way to avoid paying that. There's no way to avoid paying that bill. You can either pay it right now or you can pay it by being a miserable fuck every single day for the rest of your life. Looking in the mirror every single day, knowing that you hate yourself because you do not have the balls to walk up to somebody and say hi to them. It feels like shit. It really does. And I'm sure that a lot of people watching this feel the same way. They know when they look in the mirror, they just looking like, you're a bitch, bro. You're a bitch. Like, why didn't you say hi to this person? That woman smiled at me and said she was interested in what I was reading. Why didn't I strike up a conversation instead of go, and like hide back into your book?
I always say this, the pain of regret is so much worse than the pain of rejection, because the pain of rejection is fleeting and it usually goes away sometimes 10 minutes after the experience happens, while the pain of regret can often stay with people for the rest of their lives. I know so many people who are bitter and depressed because they're constantly haunted by the idea that they've missed out on the relationships or experiences that they wanted. And that's the worst part, not just the self-defeating thoughts and feeling down on yourself, but the fact that life can take you in so many new directions if you just grab some opportunities. It is singular conversations that led to me meeting my wife, some of my best friends, and my business partner, Julian. And if I had avoided some of those conversations, I wouldn't have had any of those people with me today.
You're going to pay the price one way or another. You can either pay it today or you pay it every fucking day for the rest of your life until you learn how to do better. And you may not know how to do better, and that's totally fine. That's what a therapist is for. There are people out there that are dedicated to doing this, and getting a therapist doesn't have to cost like, $2 or $3 or $500 an hour. You don't have to go to some fancy schmancy New York City office on Wall Street or something to go see a therapist. They got online therapists now that are working at a place with a better cost of living. You could pay less than $200 or $300 a month and get a therapist. There's all different types of resources out there. There are charities that help people get connected to therapists for free if they're in a bad place. There's a lot of people that will help you through that so that you can get on to handling your first rejection and do better.
This is so critical for a lot of guys to hear. If you're struggling with your mental health, reach out to a professional. There's no shame in it. And like Lewis said, there's so many more affordable resources out there than ever before. There are so many great group programs, there are apps like BetterHelp, and many insurances are now covering mental health services. And even if you want to start free and from the comfort of your home, there are a lot of resources like YouTube, including many of our videos here on this channel.
But again, it's a bill. You're gonna pay the bill one way or the other. You can either pay it right now, or you could pay it every single fucking day. And like any bill, if you have a $10 bill today and you pay it today, you paid $10. However, if you have a $10 bill today and you put that shit on a credit card with 18% interest for the next 30 years, yeah, compound interest is a bitch. Not only are you going to be miserable, but you're going to be paying a far higher price the longer you put this off.
Yep, sitting around beating up on yourself, feeling down, feeling like you're missing out on life, watching others enjoy themselves will absolutely crush you. Rip off the band-aid and it's gonna hurt a little now, or deal with chronic pain later. As humans, we always just look at the short term, and we're really bad at judging the long-term effects. It's like when people avoid going to the dentist so they don't have to feel that short-term pain from the procedure. But if anyone's had some shitty teeth experiences, you know that chronic lingering pain is so much more devastating and just takes its toll on your mental health. And you're eventually going to have to do something about it anyway.
When you go to do something for the first time, you are most likely going to suck. Some of you are probably insanely talented, self-learners that can just read a book on something, pick it up immediately. Fine, not you. Most of you, you're going to suck the first time you do something new. You need to have that get out of your system. You need to get the suck out of your system before you can get to being good at something. But if you never even try to begin with, you're never going to be able to sharpen the knife. Let's give an example. Take my beginning videos on YouTube. Let's not even do something like, talking to the opposite sex and trying to get a positive reaction. Just this video. Look at this video. This is a 10-year-old video. It's my oldest video on YouTube. Listen to the presentation skills. Listen to my complete and utter lack of enthusiasm, my lack of ability to project, my lack of ability to emote. This video is boring dog shit. But this needed to be produced before I could get good at it. I had to upload things that suck. I had to get reactions from people. I had to watch and listen to what I produced before I could get to a point where I could actually present in front of a camera in a manner that would captivate an audience.
And that's the thing. When you see somebody who's successful at something, you don't see the journey that got there. So your brain just wants to compare, well, they're great at something and they're really talented. I just don't have that. And that's complete bullshit. The vast majority of people stumble, fall, and fail and suck at something before they start to improve. I was the same thing as Lewis. I was a writer for most of my career, and then I decided to do YouTube maybe a year and a half ago. And I think the videos we produce are 100 times better than when we started. But I knew that I had to kind of pay that cost up front to eventually get to where I wanted to be. And that was also challenging for myself because I've already got a name as a really successful dating coach who can go out and do retreats everywhere. And then I have to watch myself awkwardly on camera and come to that reality that I am basically a noob at this thing. The journey is where it's at. That's where all the growth comes from. Yes, it's awesome to get used to rejection, but everything leading up to practicing getting used to rejection will also make you so much stronger of a person. You need to be able to walk up to somebody and have decent body language and look relaxed and make eye contact and be able to actually be present and listen to them and relate naturally. And that's only going to come through the process. And the irony is that a lot of people focus on the end result when they're starting the process of getting a phone number or avoiding a rejection. But as you go through it, you'll realize that the self-acceptance and the growth and the respect that you build for yourself is the real victory.
There's a reason that for the first year of my channel, I gained something like 5 or 10 subscribers, and that it wasn't really until year 2 that I even gained close something like 50, and that it wasn't until year 3 that I got to 1,000, and so on and so forth.
Glad I'm doing a little
most
better.
Of the early stuff that I did was absolute effing trash, but I needed to get that out of my system. I needed to be okay with sucking. You're going to pay the cost. One way or the other, you're going to pay. It's just a question of whether you pay it in the beginning or whether you pay it every day for the rest of your life. It's much more expensive if you pay it every day for the rest of your life. So hopefully that motivates you or incentivizes you to actually see a therapist if you do have this issue where you genuinely can't talk to other people.
And maybe you're feeling that cost right now, but let me reassure you with something. I truly believe that everyone watching this video can learn to talk to new people. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it in 37 countries. I've seen it for a decade. I've seen it with every single type of guy possible. You just need to start taking small steps consistently over time. Unfortunately, rejection does suck at times, but you can't just have positive experiences. You need the negative reference experiences too, because those are the moments that show you that it's never as bad as you imagine and that you can handle whatever comes your way. I'm largely not scared of rejection today because I know that even if it happens, I'm gonna be all right. And that if I put myself out there again, I'm inevitably gonna connect with many other people.
It's easier to get a date the traditional way than most people think, even the age of Tinder. Cold approaches are effective as long as you've had at least a few brief positive interactions prior. Well, the thing is, a lot of people haven't had any interactions prior. And one of the things is, again, if you're just sitting in a bar and there's somebody sitting next to you, let's not even talk about getting a date. There are people out there that if they're sitting next to somebody in a bar just saying, "Hey, I'm Lewis. Nice to meet you." That destroys them. They functionally cannot do that. They will break, you'll see them start sweating like they're on Space Mountain without a seatbelt or something. They can't do it. But again, that's what therapy is for. And most people are like, I can't pay, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm scared of it. You could pay today or pay every single day for the rest of your miserable life. It's one or the other.
Damn, harsh but true. Listen, if the idea of walking up to a random woman and starting a conversation is just too much right now, then just try to do something like 5 levels lower. Like Lewis's example, maybe you just try something like looking over to the person next to you and greeting them briefly. If that's still too hard, just look over at the person, smile, and go back to your coffee. If that's too hard, just show up somewhere in public where there are people around and do nothing but sit by yourself. Pull up a good book at a park, eat alone at a lunch spot, or go drink a beer and watch some live music. You don't have to talk to anybody the first few times you're going out, just get comfortable being in those environments. And then you start some conversations and get used to the occasional rejection. And before you know it, that won't bother you anymore. And you won't even recognize the confident social person that you've become. And if you want to keep strengthening your dating and social skills, then join our community program here, where you can ask us any questions, get advice, and join our monthly group coaching calls.